Alright everyone, welcome back to Champions of the Fog. We're loading in for trial number 1 of Bombom versus Yggdrasil. And it's going to be Dredge on the Hawkins lab. I'm your host, Little Guard, and joining me today is nobody. I'm all by myself. Please someone call me. I'm very lonely. That said though, already using teleport trying to get a killer instinct read, but no one inside. Actually, I don't even think we got killer instinct on Jake, but we do have a chase coming in right off the bat. Looping around this tile, very odd tile. I kind of wish we would see this at other maps just for, you know, kicks and giggles, but going down over the top, expecting a vault back, but they will go for it, and that will be, honestly, a relatively early down, all things considered. We see a couple lockers locked behind them. Makes me wonder if someone has actually already been here? Ooh, a little bit of boil over coming into play, but it's not gonna matter as we see a hook. Well, okay, matters a little bit, bottom 2 seconds. That's gonna be a pain resonance coming in right off the bat. We do know about Sloppy Butcher, as that has been, readily available to the survivors, as they definitely felt it when they got hit. Trying to look for killer instinct, but just still not finding. I think they just went to basement. They just go to basement. Yeah, they just went to basement. No killer instinct down there. And survivors also are well aware of Ruin as well. So effectively, killer's build is full revealed. No Noed or anything. Corrupt intervention didn't even last that long. It lasted about 40 seconds or so. See that gen being worked up top, and they're going to be setting their remnant down below. Really good placement for it too. There's the vault, and that will be a tag onto Nia. So resident, be careful and can't afford to give too many free tags, as these resets are quite costly on this map. It's really hard to reset effectively. Ooh, getting into the locker though will give him a little bit of distance. However, it's still on the back. Actually, that was a for the people from Gallo Fake. So Toledo here gonna be broken for a little bit longer, and they will be going down, but that does mean that their tunnel target is not as viable. However, we are about to enter nightfall mode, leaving him slugged, wanting more. They're actually up. I don't know if I would have come back up there, knowing that the killer is a nightfall. Coming up after that, that's actually really dangerous of the survivors. This is risky. Likely here, Nia will go down, leaving them slugged. Do they get the pickup in the meantime? There is someone here for the pickup, potentially. We're looking for killer instinct. Still wanting more. This is a great time to get some slug pressure over. I think they are going to get a pickup here, as Renato was in the vicinity. No, that wasn't Renato, it was Jake. Or is this Jake? I can't tell with the beanie. You're hiding your luscious locks regardless. And they will end up finding Jake. Both servers have been picked up, but now you got the injuries everywhere. I imagine they're going to try and get the slug play here on Jake. Ooh, swinging a miss at the window. Expecting a mind game, but not going to have it. And that will be Jake going down. They get a reset onto Nia. And yeah, it looks like they know the reset's coming in. They will just go for the hook. Survivors, honestly, despite what seemed like a pretty nasty situation, for better or for worse, either the killer didn't capitalize on it, or they came back out of it relatively unscathed. However, this was the survivor that was their tunnel target. Maybe that's what they wanted all along. With Ruin regressing everything, maybe they just wanted their tunnel target. Which, if that was their plan, they did achieve it. That is second stage. That is one survivor ready to go. However, Toledo is fully healed up, and they did use for the people last time, so they do still have that option. Still no killer instinct, trying to find someone or something, but looks like they do find Renato. Renato likely here. No, they got a pallet to play with. Not the safest, but be running onward. If they can chain with anything, but this pallet's already broken. That will be a tag. Will they stay on this chase or hit and run? Looks like they're going to go check this one. Oh, unhook coming in though. That means they will be teleporting back immediately. And again, we see Toledo once again coming in with the for the people. Locked locker coming into play. And it looks like they will possibly just go for a slug again. However, I think you have to break this pallet. Killer sense that is actually going to go upstairs, expecting Jake to have made their way over here. They find Renato instead. Renato will be caught unaware. Oh, I think Jake got spotted. Yep, Jake a little bit too close, and now they're going to be under assault. It is all down to if they can make this chase last or not. Oh, a little bit of an aggressive teleport. I think the survivor might have seen it coming. And I think they did, as they're nowhere to see, but there is Nightfall starting. Got a Killer Instinct. We see a second generator going down, dropping this pallet preemptively. Survivors still aren't out of the woods yet. Obviously, this killer can snowball out of nowhere. They are in Nightfall mode. We see them coming in for the pickup. They will get the pickup, but we see all the survivors actually over here as well. We have everybody accounted for. There was 3 in this hallway. I say, going for the hook here, not a bad idea. You still got plenty of Nightfall left, and that just makes one more thing to have to deal with. It's going to be a pain res as well, so you're going to be hitting the most progress gen for 20%. Teleporting around, but once again, I must say, you got to get rid of this pallet. Yeah, this pallet is just way too good for a getaway pallet. Pallet's a lot more unsafe. And again, once again, Ruin is doing a lot of work here in this trial. 4 pallets being sent back. As the campfire, actually. Nia will be taking a tag. And once again, the survivor getting pushed off of this generator. Ruin is just a powerhouse in this set so far. However, they still have one more pallet here. However, this is not good. I don't know if that's exactly what he plays Remnant, but it will probably work out just fine. Getting turned around though, and yeah, about to say that's I think you want to put it at the bottom of the stairs, or like middle of the stairs. And will end up winning the mind game at the pallet. Resets coming in onto the survivors as I believe this is first hook for our Nia. And it will be a pain res. No, it will not be a pain res. Saving their pain res for another day. Teleporting all the way across the map, looking for Killer Instinct. They actually see a survivor through the locker though. I think it's oh wait, no, that wasn't Nia. What am I thinking? That was Toledo. Oh, but they find the survivor stealthing. And once again, onto their Death Hook survivor. However, they do have this back pallet, not the safest pallet. Quick swing, expecting the pallet stun. And that will be a tag into the back of Jake. How much distance can they get? They've got to get to safety. Dropping portal pallet. Holding around the corner. This will most likely be a tag. Yep, and that'll be a tag, and that will be Death Hook coming in for Jake. Can they get a gen done? Ruin does go down though, so survivors have something going in their favor, but most of their gens are now fully regressed at this point. Death Hook coming in onto one of the survivors. It's a 3v1 at 3 gens remaining. I'll be honest, folks, I don't see a whole lot of teams able to come back and pull out. You might be able to get one more generator, but as soon as everyone's injured again, it's really hard to come back because we'll see what the servers can do. Nightfall about to happen once again. We see Nia gonna be taking a tag as they run out of this room. Still looking around, wanting to injure one more survivor before Nightfall starts, I imagine. We actually find a missed call out as Renato had no idea that this killer was unaccounted for, and that's gonna be a tag. And this could be a nightmare here for Bombom survivor team. Ooh, good swing. And yeah, about to say cutting them off before they get around. However, we do see a reset coming in onto Nia, which means that Toledo probably gonna be getting reset as well. This is exactly what the survivors need in this moment because everyone injured with Nightfall approaching is awful. Once again, not a pain res. I believe that was actually already used at this point. Looking around for that reset, but not quite able to find it. Survivors are able to complete the reset. Now it's up to the killer to looking around, see if they can find any remnants of it, but I think they have spread out now. They do find Toledo. Running through the pallet. I think this might be, if I say it might be a tag, and yeah, it will be. There's the unhook coming in, immediately ready for the teleport. No for the people. And Renato's gonna be running all the way back to Portal. Survivors need to do what they can to get one more gen. We've seen this WinCon before, and it's very difficult to achieve. 2 gens is not too hard for the survivors to bang out when they know this is what it takes. Good fake from Renato, but ultimately not gonna be enough, and that is going to be another tag coming in. I think that is Death Hook for Renato now. And so, honestly, again, survivors just need, and that is exactly what they're doing. But I don't think it's gonna be in time. They have to teleport directly here. If they don't teleport directly here, then they don't get it. But I think the killer's gonna teleport directly here. Yeah, they're checking, and now you're in a bit of a situation. Yeah, this chase needs to go on for a while, and they need to let Nia get back. But the problem is that she doesn't make a pallet. Killer wanting to go back, ensure that they're not back on this gen. I think they actually were. Yeah, they didn't notice. They didn't notice they were on the gen. But I thought I heard them working on it, and they were actually doing it. So that is going to be a 3rd gen for the survivors. Very, very good for them. As yeah, 4K3 is not a good win con for your killer. 4K2 is not great. It's still going to be very tough. But at least if 2 gens pop, it's not the end of the world. And unfortunately, couldn't quite finish that heal as we see them 99'd. And that will be 4K2 confirmed for Yggdrasil's killer. And it's a tough win con, but again, it is something that I've seen done before. It's going to be tough. We'll just have to see how they play it out as we send these survivors back to the campfire in a nice, neat, orderly fashion. All fresh is accounted for. All survivors sent on the express busway back to Pain Town at the campfire. And it is up. It's going to be up to Bombom's killer. Can they? I honestly, at this point, obviously, I love him seeing playing for the win, but I could understand just trying to hold 3 gens down, cause as much chaos, bring Sloppy Butcher, bring your Ruin. Honestly, you could bring the exact same build here. Maybe, again, it's a bit of a user's choice. I'm kind of ambivalent on Corrupt Intervention in these cases, just because you sometimes get a spawn where it's the 2 rooms that you really can't afford to protect that much, and so it doesn't feel like it does that much. We'll have to see. Again, I think in situations like this where you know the win con is this steep, I think you have to maybe play a bit loose and not bring Corrupt, but, you know, while we play it out, what teams live for, what they try to do. So we'll be back in just a moment as we get this next trial set up. Thank you all so much for tuning in. All right, everyone, welcome back to Champions of the Fog. We're loading in for trial number 2 of Bombom versus Yggdrasil. It's going to be Bombom's turn on the killer, immediately doing some teleports, trying to find some killer instincts. Looking around, but not seeing anyone. Looks like they do find a couple of survivors, though. They did stir a hornet's nest. Trying to figure out where they went. And quite possibly losing sight of where the survivors are, but regardless, looks like they do end up finding them after all, and that is going to be first chase onto Tari, running through the pallet. They will take attack over the top of it. Once again, we do see Sloppy Butcher. I do appreciate, I don't know if they if they took my sage old advice to heart, or if they just, you know, that was their plan all along. But we do, in fact, do not see Corrupt Intervention. And based on their spawn point, I don't know if it would have helped him either. Ooh, good mind game coming in by, I think you have to break this pallet. Now you get a couple of choices, but it looks like the Atari is just going to be holding W for life. Like they do find, actually there is a survivor hold up in here. I'm about to say I could see them actually leaving the chase entirely. They have Sloppy onto the survivor. You could try and hold on to this instead. Get a little bit turned around and actually won't be able to stop this. I'm about to say now they have the vault. They leave, they will end up leaving, but this might end up still being a tag. Getting back to where Tari was, and that, yeah, I'm about to say that will be a tag over the top of the pallet. Leaving the gen altogether. Again, Ruin doing a lot of work here, and they were going to be pushing 2 servers off of this gen. Actually, this is massive for the killer. They've got a lot of survivors in a tizzy right now. Now Adam has to take a hit potentially for Tari. Can be splitting off. We know that Claudette is probably the only survivor that is untouched on a generator at the moment. They get attack over the top. This killer is doing what they have to do to get the win condition they're looking for. And the generator up top is... Oh my, we're waiting for their remnant to come back. Dropping the remnant, and that will be potentially another tag onto Claudette. Not getting the body block, but they'll get the tag through the window. Now they can teleport back in. All survivors are injured. We're at 5 gens, folks. This killer's doing exactly what they have to do. Reset is coming through onto Tari, which means I believe they should be with Adam at the moment. This pallet's trade dropped. I honestly wouldn't mind seeing that pallet broken in this situation, just because it is one less safe avenue, but they are going to push them away, and this will end up being a down unless they misplay it somehow. If they will go down. We see that Adam is reset. Claudette is working on the gen, but I say I don't hate the hook here. This is actually pretty good. I don't think they make basement, and we do see Claudette probably about to finish their gen. There we go. Is this a pain res? It is a pain res. We hear 2 survivors working on this generator. Actually, wait. That wasn't the gen I thought they were working. I thought they were working in Portal Room Gem. That means that Tari might be working on Portal Room Gem now. There's the slug onto Claudette. Nightfall is ending. We saw that Adam was going to be going in for that unhook. Looks like they do get it. Teleporting a little bit closer. And it looks like Tari actually rotated to an entirely separate gen. And looks like they're going to be going straight from the tunnel onto Nia. Not quite able to get the hit over the pallet. However, Bloodlust will be kicking in a moment. Will that be enough to get them? I think it will. Try and do something cheeky, but not going to work. And that is going to be a down under the pallets. No pallet stud. There's some ambient noises in this map that make me think about it's footsteps, but it was not in fact footsteps. That's gonna be second hook coming in onto the killer, teleporting away, looking for someone else, looking for killer instinct. Nothing to be found. And survivors have actually reset in this time. However, the gen progress isn't insane. Tari's about to finish another gen. They actually find Claudette though, and I think they want to hold chase a little bit here and ensure they finish this generator. But I think the killer is going to just leave. Yeah, I don't hate that play at all. Yep, and that is a safe gen that is finished. Portal Room gen's the only other safe gen left. So win condition still achievable, but tie condition on the horizon. It looks like they're actually going to be using the remnant to split between these two. We see them actually coming in for the unhook. Nia running away. We see that Tari will take a tag. Nightfall is imminent. That was actually a really good for him to teleport and actually completely on top of Nia. Nia is out with it. We're in the same situation as we were before, folks. We got 2 injured survivors, a survivor out at 2 gens done. This is anyone's game, and they actually find a survivor right off the bat. It is actually an uninjured or is injured survivor. Tari running for their life will go down at the pallet. Is there a gen being worked on? They are doubling a gen, knowing the situation, but that is not gonna. You might say they teleport directly to this, and now Adam. Oh my goodness. There is no way they're actually going to pull out the win con in the situation. The survivors in the previous trial actually gave their killer a potential out here and could be taking set 1 from something that looked like it was direly against them. Ruin is still up, by the way. Claudette's going to be caught out right near Tori. Now Adam has to hide. Folks, this is one of the craziest reversals I have seen. I didn't think the survivors would get a 3rd gen done in the previous one. They got one done at this by the skin of their teeth, and now we're seeing them actually play for the win condition here because of that 1 gen being finished. Remember, there is no unbreakable, there is no deliverance, there is no second chances here. This is death. And Bombom's killer able to pull out a victory here in set 1 against Yggdrasil, against the odds. Apologies for my, I am stunned. I cannot believe. Well played to Bombom and well played to Gallo for pulling it out. I did not think, I thought this would have been a tie or a rough loss or a very close loss. I didn't think they could actually pull out as a victory here. This was a very steep condition to meet, but they rose to the occasion and they made it happen. Absolutely phenomenal play. Looks like they are looking for their last slug here, but it will not matter in the end. As even if they do die fresh, this is a the 3rd gen was not completed, so it will not end up counting. Unless they do find the survivor after all, so that will be all survivors accounted for. Clean 4K3 for Bombom. And we'll be moving on to set number 2 as soon as the survivors make their nice, neat, orderly exit from the trial into the entity's uncaring claws and back to the campfire. But we will be going into, and again, some really interesting sets this weekend. As if you all saw from the graphic earlier, the tiebreaker is Skull Merchant, which I'll let y'all decide how you feel on that one. But set 2 that we're going to be going into in just a moment here is going to be Sodico on Dead Dog Saloon. We've seen a little bit of Dead Dog Saloon already this week. We saw some cloud matchups on it. Usually you see Wraith, you know, maybe Oni. I don't know if I have ever witnessed a Sodico on Dead Dog Saloon. So I am very curious and intrigued by this. But regardless, we'll be getting that next trial set up very shortly. In the meantime, thank you all so much for tuning in to Champions of the Fog. Again, this is the final round of the main season. All right, everyone, welcome back to Champions of the Fog. We're loading in for trial number 3. Once again, Gallowfek will be piloting, this time the Sodico. And once again, very interestingly, no corrupt intervention. I kind of don't even hate that on this map, especially with her mobility. We'll be immediately picking up onto Nia here, taking chase at the main building. What's interesting to me is that swing was interesting. Oh wow, already finding a survivor, getting a tag. Not sure if that was a head-on setup, a miscommunication, or something else, but they will be teleporting now. It was like 3 survivors picking up tapes. Very interesting animation there, and trying to look around, trying to get a beat on survivors, but I think with them picking up tapes there, it's gonna be a little bit harder for them to get any condemned going on. They will be finding, in the meantime, Tari. And I think we're gonna be seeing this killer go for some hit and run tactics, as we did see Sloppy Butcher. However, they will be sticking on to Tari after that initial hit. Swinging barely into the back, expecting them to vault over. And now I think you might have to break a pallet here? Could be wrong. These are pretty strong tiles to set up together, but I say with these 3 next to each other like this, yeah, I think you might have to. Bloodlust once again kicking back in as they got kicked out of it. Dropping every pallet from here to no man's land, but that will be a down over the top as they continue to tile over. Now almost all the pallets back here are dropped. I imagine though we're gonna be seeing some gens firing away. Claudette's actually just the single gen cranking away, as the other 2 I think are working doubling up top. But I think if this is a pain res, which it looks like it is, Claudette's will be set back a little bit. Teleporting around, looking for a survivor. I don't know if I find anything yet. I do like the fingernail though. It is going to give them a much longer duration of their speed boost coming out of the TV. And they do finish Saloon Gen, which tells me that Claudette probably will be finishing their gen momentarily, or rotated in for the unhook and letting another survivor finish their generator. More teleports coming in. I'm wondering if they're trying to get this Adam condemned potentially. I don't even know what no, Adam's at 1 condemned stack right now. That can't be the case. Actually, hold on. Claudette, unless that was a spectator bug, Claudette actually has a significant chunk of stacks. Looks like they actually did get rid of it, so that wasn't just a spectator bug. I think that actually was the way it was. They actually are going to be moving on to the survivor. They got unhooked. Tari running for safety. No pallet here. Claudette ready to take a tag, but is going to miss it. That's the problem, is that you can't hit tank against this killer. They can just phase through you. Again, I'm beginning to think this might be a spectator bug, because there's no way that Claudette has that many stacks and is also actively taking this chase. Because if you teleport and you notice, that would be really bad news. They are going to leave him on the ground. Good mind games coming in at the water tower. Pick up onto Tari. And it looks like Claudette will be going down. If this is, in fact, how many stacks they have and they get hooked here, this survivor is going to be... Okay, no, okay. It corrected. Okay, so they had 3 stacks. Okay. I was about to say, if they are 1 stack away from being condemned fully and they get hooked, that is... I imagine Sodico would be very, very happy. But it is not the case. It says it's just be 3 stacks marked onto them. Adam gonna be pushed away from their gen. Ruin's still regressing it. We do see that there are 2 totems. Ruin is one of them. Pain res. Actually, like this killer's kind of cooking with this build. Again, we didn't see corrupt intervention, and that chase probably lasted a bit longer than they would have hoped for. But all in all, they've actually done a pretty good job with the pressure they've accumulated so far. They do find once again Ari going down, and that will be second stage coming in for them. Looks like they're gonna be doing some tapes in the meantime. He's heading back up on the gen that was originally Adam getting pushed off from. Trying to get tapes set up. Killer teleporting around. Looks like they will find, I believe this was Nia that's getting pushed away. And they might actually be able to make it in for an unhook. No, they're not going to go for a trade. They want to make sure that whatever trade happens here is a clean trade. And I imagine they might even be trying to set up for a for the people play if they have that available to them. Oh, they actually didn't realize where they teleported to. And that's going to be a tag. Adam running in, though, and is going to be pulled off. But that means that, oh, this is not good for the survivors. They know where everyone is. They can definitely hold this off, especially knowing that you can't endanger Adam here. Is, again, she can phase right through the survivor for a body block. I was trying to push in, but I think you might have to accept the survivor is dead, potentially. I think Claudette is running in here, and they will be able to get a hook trade at the last possible second. But Tari, now they're just gonna take the trade. They're gonna accept the trade, and this is gonna be second hook for Claudette, which means that you got two survivors, but now this survivor is condemned. And I don't know if that's on purpose, by accident, or what, but that is not where you want to be if you're Adam here, especially with so many resources gone. Not going for the window vault. No, they don't get to turn it in time. Okay, is that a spectator bug? No, is this you don't get a spectator bug for this. Yeah, no, that is a fresh survivor. Adam has not been hooked once, and they are just out of the game like that. They did not manage their condemn, and that is the punishment that Sodico inflicts if you do not manage your condemn stacks. And we're still at 3 gens remaining, folks. That is not okay. Mark it off. If you had Sodico, you know, inexorably stares a survivor to death at 3 gens remaining, you know, check it off on your bingo card. Not something I thought I would see in season 12. Vaulting through the window, holding at this TNL, or, you know, pseudo TNL. It's like a building TNL. Makeshift TNL. They're gonna go for the teleporter. I think I like this, actually. You've got the fingernail, you've got the speed going around the side of the tile, but the survivor predicted. And they're gonna be leaving altogether. Survivors now have an incredibly tough ask. They actually get pushed off. Tari didn't get the call out or didn't realize the situation. They're gonna be going down. They are death. They're leaving him slug. They want more. They want to secure a 4K3. Another teleport coming in, and they're gonna be condemning the Claudettes. To be fair, this survivor has already been hooked there. That's why they are so disinterested at the moment, as killing them is not that great. However, seeing this Nia back here working on the generator, that is much more to their liking. If they can secure 4K3 here, they have given their survivor team a great win condition to try and meet. Forcing the pick. And I imagine they might be trying to double up on the generator. No, they're just getting the pickups just so they can get that back on the generator, not even to... But it once again is going to get cut off here. Yeah, which means, yeah, Tari's going to be going in for that unhook. But effectively, survivors are now in a doom loop, unable to break out, as at any point, like, if this survivor goes down, you can immediately just end them. Don't have to waste time hooking or anything. Immediately go for the inexorable stare, and they're out of the game. Force the 2v1, unhook coming in onto Nia, but Claudette not be able to go anywhere. But I say, I think you just take the stare here. And what a hideous stare it is. That is 2 survivors condemned. And actually already finding scratch marks over here, but I think they might have been the tail end of them. Yeah, survivors have to get another gen done here. If they don't, then it's just that there's not much their killer can do. Like, this is such a wonky trial. Having a survivor out at 3 gens remaining, without ever being hooked. They have to make this chase last a little bit longer. They need a third gen. I do not foresee how you do this if you don't finish this. At least another gen here. You've got Saloon gen that's a free gen. You got Gallows gen, which can be a free gen. Like, this is dire for Yggdrasil. They've got to make something happen, and I don't know how they do that now. They have one survivor that is not currently bleeding out on the floor. This might just end up being 4K3. Looking out, trying to find the stealth survivor if at all possible. And I think they found him. Yep, they do. And I don't know if they're going to be able to get a pickup in time. I say very far teleport. Might have been a missed teleport, actually, but unsure. See the remnants of scratch marks somewhere. Holding at the... Yeah, I was holding at main building, but unless the survivor is called all the way into main building here, this is looking to be the last chase. They're dropping down immediately. Well, they try to get back around for the pickup. Weird scratch marks, but ultimately not gonna be enough to avoid, and that will be going down into the pallet. And that is 4K3 for Bombom's killer. An insane performance in giving their survivor team a very, very nice win con to try and meet for this. And not to call it just yet, but it is currently looking like 2-0 is in the future for Bombom here potentially, as they have just played so out of their mind. And we'll just have to wait and see what comes out on the other end. But in the meantime, gonna be looking for our bleeding out survivor. And even that's the thing, even if they manage to get some stages out here, it's not much to hope for. You still have to prevent 3 gens from firing, which is just so incredibly difficult to do. Like that is a hard ask. On some killers it can be, like if you Billy or Blight or killers that can like do some kind of crazy snowball, maybe, you know, throw some wrenches into the survivor's planning, but generally Sodico doesn't do that. Generally that's not what we see on this killer, so trying to mount that pressure, especially again when the survivors understand what the win condition is. They understand, hey, they get that first hook. Like the killer has to go on a slugging spree. They have to bring a similar build to this where it's going to be ruined. So any, you know, harassment you do is going to be passive through aggressing. You're going to need sloppy butcher. And honestly, beyond that, I'm not sure. Pain res is a good choice. I think pain res is a good choice here based on what, like, again, this killer brought the same thing. I don't know, folks. This is going to be tough. This is going to be a tough... They thought they found him. No, that's the survivor you killed earlier. Don't, silly. Yep, and that will be the bleed out confirmed. So they will be not missing anything, as they've already hooked the survivor multiple times. So that is a clean 4K3. All right, everyone, welcome back to Champions of the Fog. We're loading in for trial number 4. It's either the halfway point or the end of the line. But regardless, already seeing survivors in the distance. They did opt to bring Corrupt Intervention with this spawn. Corrupt Intervention actually might do a little bit of work here, as this spawn is definitely a bit spread out towards the side. So already taking one tag onto a survivor. Will they stick onto them, or looks like they are getting ready to demanifest and break off? And you actually do see them here, gonna be breaking the door, looking for another tag. We see survivors up on the saloon gen. They know that is the first easy one to get out of the way. Trying to get a swing through the... Obviously, it's gonna be a bit difficult, but not getting to hit through a pallet. Probably gonna be teleporting, try and get back to main building, try and push them off of the gen upstairs. It does have a bit of progress, and it does sound like we do have Ruin in play, because the jet is regressing. Actually, looks like we might have interrupted survivor coming in for a potential tape here. Still looking around. They will take a tag for their efforts. Gallify getting pushed back into the corner of map. Will they stick to this? Looks like they actually are interested in sticking to this. But yeah, I say Gallo being very, very wise and making sure to not get completely caught out unaware by this killer. We'll be looping around. Ooh. Oh, they got stuck on the stairs, but they will be able to get up. This will likely be a tag, but at what cost? Corrupt Intervention is about to go down. Not quite making it. And now you got the pallet to contend with, holding around the side of the wagon. Not the safest pallet, but Bloodlust will be kicking in. The question is how many gens are firing for it. There's the first down coming in. Gotta say this gen will pop. There is no jolt or anything. Those are two separate gens at high progress, and another gen at a high amount as well, by 50%. However, that pain res will hit the one up top. First gen going down. Renato will be sticking this gen. Looks like they will need to get a condemn stack for it. Rune will be regressing it, and Killer will be up in a moment to deal with you. Good read from the Killer, or Survivor, I should say. They will be starting chase. I say that demanifestation period when they disappear is super weird and difficult to deal with. Second gen going down as they went to double it. Saloon gen is still regressing. That will be a tag into Renato. And looks like someone might be rotating in a moment for the unhook onto Gallowfake. But I imagine they're going to be teleporting away here. I think they did. Yeah, oh no, they stayed up top. Never mind. Teleporting over to Gallows. And they will find Jake and give him a tag. I'm curious what their condemn stacks are. However, they're going to be teleporting back, anticipating an unhook, but not seeing one. Oh, there we go. Just coming at the last possible second. Ruin is still regressing the Gallows or Saloon gen. Renato will be still caught out here. I think there's even another survivor back here, so I say that you can't body block Sodico. They actually let it happen. I guess opting just to have everybody injured, and now you can attempt to try to snowball here potentially. Very interesting sizzling sound effect. I say Renato will go down here. I say I think they're doubling this gen. Yeah, they're doubling it. I think they will be able to stop them. Yeah, they're going to be teleporting up here momentarily. Looks like they've been getting ready for a head-on play potentially. I say you can't head-on Sodico when she's demanifested. And I don't think the survivor either was not aware or they thought the killer would hear them and didn't want to get caught in the locker. I was wondering if we would see that come into play, because yeah, for those of you who don't know, you can't pallet stun Sodico and you cannot locker stun Sodico while they are demanifested. It's something added a while back, actually. However, pickup does come in. Pain res coming through as well. And that gen up top is still regressing last we checked. However, they could have started on a separate generator. This killer is actually kind of playing out of their mind for what win con or for the tie condition they have to meet here. They're actually playing this really, really well. But again, it's just such a difficult thing to ask for a killer to do. Yeah, and we see a completely different gen being worked on now. Gonna be wasting resource getting away, and these two survivors will be interrupted on their reset. Imagine one of them could go down here potentially if they're not careful. We see the flashbang coming down. Sodico will be wiser to it. Pushing them away from main, but again, they're just wasting so much time here as we know the one hit water tower is being worked on. They'll be teleporting right to it as well. And they actually get the down under the pallets. Crazy teleport coming in from our killer here. And it will be a boil over hook. Don't know if this is a pain resonance or not. Looks like it will be, so they are getting their pain resonance value, but it keeps hitting that saloon gen. I think they're kind of hoping at this point to get some condemn stacks onto a survivor, but I think survivors are playing around condemn, I would say, pretty well. Immediate unhook coming in. However, Renato will go down. They haven't actually managed to get a complete reset, leaving them on the ground, going for another survivor in the meantime. Looks like they'll be opting to go right back here. It looks like there might have been a reset being interrupted as well. And they actually, with the nails here, will be able to get the hit onto Jake once again. Dude, the bloody fingernails is some of the best add-on in the game. This add-on is so much fun. You come out of a TV from a teleport, and you are just screaming like that meme deja vu, I've been in this place before, and just going to town on speed. However, hold on folks, we might have a game on our hands. They get the pickup here. Ruin is still up. It is still regressing these generators. They get the pickup onto Renato, but now you get the condemned onto this survivor, as I believe. Oh yeah, I forgot ring drawing here. This survivor could be out of the game. If Yggdrasil holds this to a tie in set 2 to force the tie breaks in set 3, this might be one of the best games of the season, folks. This might be one of the single best matches of the season. Both of these teams fighting their heart out here in round 7. Jake will be held back. One survivor is out of the game, though. Both team survivors getting pushed away. I'll be honest, folks, this is not what I was expecting. I thought this win con would be okay, to be fair, the win con is not on the table. It is purely for tie condition right now. But this killer is making some miracles happen. We see Renato at the window, stuck in the same pose they were before. This looks like a skill check being missed, and it might have been... Ooh. Oh! I think they meant to teleport over here, but they couldn't. There's the condemned stack. However, they will go down. Hottie has to be careful here. If they get caught unawares, they are very much able to be removed from the game. However, Nia's jet is of high progress, and it looks like Nia will be the one found out here. Looks like Hottie was able to get rid of some of their condemned stacks, but now they have to hide out. We see them in the distance. Does Sodico notice them? I say this is a situation where you have to be keenly aware of your TVs, but they might also just be going back for a hook potentially. Folks, this is crazy. They might actually have been able to hold this to a tie, which, to be fair, means that they can't win for a match. They can't hold out for a match win here if this ends up being a tie, but they can force tie breaks, which means we can see the match being held to a tie entirely and not a win. So they find Hottie, however, expecting them to come back over here, and they were absolutely correct. Jake will be coming back over here to the corner. That Ruin, I'm telling you, Ruin has been such a powerhouse this game. I think you do want to go for the hook here. I think you've got time. They're coming back to this gen, but again, Ruin has just done so much work to this gen. Nia will be rotating away as the hook comes in. And an instant teleport coming in from Sodico, looking to interrupt this gen up top. They will be able to get here in time. It looks like, I'd better say, Hottie already well out of line of sight already, as they knew that a killer was going to be coming around. Expecting the rotation from Nia, and I think they would be correct, but I think Nia's been a bit more careful. About to say, they do end up finding Ruin here, though. And that is going to be pretty dang big for the survivors, as this killer now has to go all the way over here and kick this gen to regression. They find Hottie, as they do know where that was being worked on. And this looks like it might end up being potential slug in the corner, but now survivors are at a point where they are bringing it back a little bit. Ruin being out of the way means they can work on a gen pretty freely. I think Hottie is possibly Death Hook, though. So these survivors have to immediately go back to this gen and double up on it. Yeah, that is Death Hook. They have to double this gen. You know this, and they did take the... I think they took the closest TV to it, but it doesn't matter. They're gonna go down. They know it's all for nothing, and that is not gonna be enough. That will be the tie condition held in set 2. Yggdrasil honestly pulling out something I would consider a miracle here, as I didn't think it was going to be possible, but they hold it out, and that will be 4K3, forcing the tiebreaker Skull Merchant set. This game was crazy. This game was phenomenal. It looks like we're gonna get a little bit more Moris. This Mori's brutal. Oh my goodness. This Mori might be one of the most savage Moris in the game of Dead by Daylight. Props to the devs. Oh, all right, everyone. Welcome back to Champions of the Fog. It is set number 3. Yggdrasil versus Bombom. It is the Skull Merchant mirror that either you've been waiting for, or you've been dreading and desperately hoping never came to this. But regardless of what you think or feel, we are here for it, and I, for one, am very excited. I think this is the first Skull Merchant game I've seen. It's on Midwich, which makes it even more interesting. They get to play a little bit more to the stealth aspects of this killer's kit, which you don't get to see nearly as often, and I am here for it. But regardless, already setting up some drones, looking around. We do see Crypt Intervention, which, you know, can mess with survivors a little bit on this map. Not the absolute best, not the absolute worst. And we actually already find some survivors activating this drone well in advance. Again, unfortunate that they will get one scan tag onto the survivor in the meantime. Getting attacked through the pallet. I think they were hoping to try and get maybe 2 or 3 more scans, but just unable to. However, that is going to be Sloppy Butcher, and they're going to be leaving this chase altogether entirely. Does make sense. I think they're going to go for a more hit and run play style potentially. Keeping their undetectable and actually we see someone over here able to get hit, but I think they're going for some potential resets. Not gonna be able to get the hit though. Very, very close. However, those are some pallets out of the way. Still at 5 gens. Still a lot of harassment. We're about 30 seconds away from Crypt Intervention ending. And it looks like they're gonna be sticking back on to the Yunjin. Trying to get some rotation with that power. Again, it's obviously Skull Merchant being a very divisive killer. Only one beam to work with is definitely much more difficult and gives them a lot less power they can lean into. So it's gonna be tough to see what we can see expressed here. Or they will get a tag, and we do still again have the undetectable that you can be doing with it. Mind Game's coming in. Not the safest pallet, but they've got a little bit of distance right now. They're back to the safer side of it. And actually held W this whole time. No reset onto Yunshin just yet. However, that is going to be a little bit too much greed, and that will be a down coming in for the killer. And looks like a little bit of gen progress in the meantime. Surprisingly enough, no ruin, which I guess they just didn't want to take the gamble here. Very interesting. Regardless, so these gens will require a bit of a manual touch, if you will, to get them regressing. We actually see Jake rotating around early for the unhook. Gonna be pushed away. Setting up a drone. Be trying to confuse the survivors a little bit here. Here, this gen with a little bit more progress. They actually do finish their first gen just after the first. Oh, 2 gens for the price of 1 here. Jake's still in the area, trying to be a bit of a menace. They will have to recall it, but it's just going to be redeploying it. Again, just kind of holding down that section for a little bit longer. They have some idea where survivors are just because of the drone action. Let's say, I don't hate this strat. Just trying to hold to second stage is actually pretty good, I think. However, Unhook will be coming in, trying to body block it. I think they actually do get the body block here. No, they don't, able to slip by. And that will be a hook trade before second stage is secured. Dropping down, and they are just going to be saying, nope, I'm fine. I'm just going to go for this hook, and that will be another hooking coming. Worth noting as well is that these aren't pain res hooks. So, very unorthodox build. Also, I don't remember the last time that I saw this. Oh, that's why. I say I don't think I've ever seen the beam just hold still and actually just go for an immediate pick. Oh, looks like Jake was here, rotating around to the complete opposite side, and we'll be able to take some aggro. However, we'll take a tag. You got 3 survivors injured right now. Recalling one of the drones. And they do actually have all things considered, they actually do have a fair bit of pressure. They actually have a survivor around this area. Instead, Jake did hold here. Got pallet gone. Holding through, there's already no pallet here, so that's going to be a down coming in onto Jake. So the killer is getting their share of fresh hooks already. Reset coming in onto Yunjin, as Yunjin is going to be finished healing Nia in a minute. 3rd generator does go down, so we are 3 gens for 3 hooks currently. I didn't even know that was the way the user interface looked. Man, playing Skull Merchant must be a bit overstimulating. And they actually find Renato, so they didn't find the reset point, but they are back into chase with the survivor. Heading towards the bathrooms. Looks like they might be recalling some drones, trying to keep one in chase for here. Going upstairs. I think this is the last fresh survivor. So if they can manage to come in here and get all fresh hooks, and then maybe leave with, like, you know, anywhere from 6 to 8 stages, that's not a bad place to be sitting in. Gives your survivor team a very nice win condition to try to hide a survivor if at all possible. But we'll just have to wait and see. This will be 4th fresh coming in. Again, no pain res. Like, I'm just shocked. Usually if you are allowed to bring pain res, you take pain res and you use it, and they just haven't been able to hit a pain res, which is just wild. And again, we did see eruption earlier since they didn't take ruin, so this is a very interesting build. Let's put it that way. However, that said, be setting up some new drones, getting some new scouting information, trying to get some tags laid out. Oh, and this survivor was definitely caught off guard. Unhook did come through though on the 2nd story. And I think at this point, the killer would probably just want to tunnel someone out. Looks like we're going to be building our Skull Merchant a house over here, potentially. Swinging through the pallet, but they just ran straight through it. They greeted as well. However, oh, I thought that was going to be a hit for sure, but they actually do manage to get it down. And it looks like we're going to be seeing another drone come in. Does make sense. Great mind game, almost a grab refund, but will not end up being, and that will be a second up coming in onto this survivor. Looks like we have Nia at like 75% or so of their generator. Renato just now starting to work on theirs as well. An immediate unhook once again coming in, so they are really going for these fresh hooks. I think they dropped down preemptively. That is 4th gen done. Killer has 5 stages to their name so far. You got eruption onto one of these gens. However, the gen spread is pretty thick right now. Oh, but they do catch a survivor. They did get a little bit of distance towards them. That undetectable is doing work. And oh, great fake from the Nia. Looks like they are the any means necessary player, taking a tag over the top of the pallet. And it looks like they might even be doubling down onto them. Again, I do not hate going for these extra stages here. I'm surprised we didn't see a tunnel, but this is a way to really secure a decent win con. However, once again, this Nia just refusing to vault. They're going to greed this for days. Running back towards the window. And they get the window once again. However, I think that is now blocked. And now it's all down to these mind games. Once again, winning the 50-50. Survivors play out of their map. However, they are now broken and in mending. And inevitably not going to go down once again. That window's going to unblock in a second. And they will end up eventually losing a 50-50. But that means that Survivor's probably doubling a generator, which means there will be a second stage. There'll be 6 stages so far. And that means that all Survivors are healed, ready to go. This will be another stage, and I imagine they're going to want more as we do see Noed kick in here. Trying to keep their undetectable up as long as possible, and we do see a survivor. Do they see them coming? They did catch a glimpse, which means they're distracting from this one. They're going to be going to the other exit gate, trying to keep and chain the undetectable status effect. However, they will be pushed up before the end. The exit gate is done, and that is going to be a potential hit onto Renato. We did see another survivor rotate around, probably for the unhook, but that's going to be another set of fresh stages here for the killer. That means they could leave potentially with 8 stages. Nah, but I say they don't make that hook. And they're just gonna be taking this one instead. Do they try for extra, or do they try to hold down the fort? What is these survivors' plans? It looks like the survivors are just going to lick their wounds and take their losses and say, fine, you can have those stages. And we're gonna see 8 stages to our killer. With the hatch spawn right beneath. Really, really well played set here, and it is all gonna come down to what Bombom's killer can do. Again, if they manage to repeat the same result, they will end up winning the match overall because the second set was already a tie. All right, and we are back here once again on the Midwich with the Skull Merchant on trial number 6 of Yggdrasil versus Bombom. For those of you in chat that got that reference, mad props. And for those who don't, it's okay. With that said, already similar setup. All right, gonna be going for the same tactics, trying to go a little bit of incognito mode, a little bit of undetectable. See if they can make it work for them. Nope, they did not like that placement and said, you know what? They're just gonna go for it. However, one thing that is really interesting to me here is that we do not see Sloppy Butcher. Oh, no. They're saying no, we can utilize the drone. They wanna get some drone scans, but gonna be leaving before they can get that final tag. They want drone tags. Okay. And they actually get it. Okay. Gallo, you're showing off. That's insane. Okay, that's awesome. Mad respect. But they will be keeping Tara here. That is a tag from the drones that we just saw from the scans. And we'll be keeping an eye on the survivor, even though they're right in front of us. Like, yes, where are you going? On the corner here, and they will actually go for the vault, surprisingly. Continuing on this chase. We're in the corner, and that will be a down. A good amount of progress from these survivors. If we look at this, that is Nia's gen about to finish, were it not for a paint resonance. And we see that we have 2 other gens at the very least also being worked on. We see Ruin regressing these generators already. Looks like they're waiting for their power to come back online so they can lay down a drone. Going back to the initial spot where they got that first chase. Nothing to be found, just gonna go for the break and move along. I imagine we're gonna see some gens pop though. Looks like they might actually have a survivor rotating around. Nope, they found a totem and they are cleansing it. If it glows, it goes. And this, just deciding that this is not where they want. I mean, holding down this area is very interesting. They think the survivors in this area. There is one totem down. Waiting. Curious. Second gen down, looking around. It looks like they're wanting to maybe proxy camp this. Very, very intriguing. That will be unhooking it. Probably an immediate tunnel coming in. Trying to get another scan on the survivor. Gonna be retracting that drone and redeploying once again. They do find, in the meantime, it looks like they found Adam. Adam will be taking a tag as there is no pallet here. Going back through the top. Holding W. I think this is a window, though. Yeah, it is a window, and this is going to be a bit more of a difficult tile to try and deal with. Still in chase. That is a second vault on it, but not falling for that mind game, and that will be a down coming in. Resets have been across the board. We see at least one gen. Let's say, is it being doubled up on? It is being doubled up on, but that's gonna be a pain res stopping it. So these pain resonance are definitely doing some work. It looks like they might have found Nia. I do believe represents another fresh survivor, as they have not been hooked yet. Trying to get some scans onto them, but just not quite able to get it to connect. Oh, looks like they might have got turned around just for a second there. I say, now this is a place where you could put a drone and try and get something going, but they're just gonna take a tag through the pallet. Another scan onto the survivor. Rotating back around. I don't think the God Pallet, no, the God Pallet is here. Rotating it to try and get another tag on the survivor, but I don't think they actually got one. They'll be leaving off altogether, wanting to go back. I think they're worried that 2 gens might be done here. Not finding anyone. As they've now found Tap, pushing them off of the generator. This gen is pretty close and high progress. I think there's another one that also we saw last time was high progress. So I wouldn't be surprised if a 3rd generator fires momentarily, or someone rotates around to finish that generator. Looks like they're actually resetting Adam in the meantime. There are a lot of injuries, but that's going to be a tag through the window. We do see the 3rd generator go down, as this will be the 3rd hook for the killer. Again, going for these fresh hooks and getting pain res. Will it be in time? Looks like survivors might have found another totem here. However, the killer's nearby. They don't hear it being done. Oh, that's so unfortunate. They did not hear the sound effect of them working on the totem, and that is going to be, as we can see from the icon below, that was Devour Hope that got cleansed. So killer not able to make use of that perk. Trying to get some tags with the drone, but I don't think it's going to end up happening. No, they do. They got 2 separate instances of drone action. What the heck? We have 2 separate survivors that have been broken from the drone. Going around the edge. The survivor is actually in a bit of trouble. We're still 2 gens remaining, but we've got 2 broken status effects on survivors, which means they're potentially easy pickings if they don't get good callouts. This will be, I believe, the 4th stage overall, and I wouldn't be surprised with Devour Hope out of the way. They might just go for a tunnel on this survivor, as they are now Death Hook. Looks like Tap went back to the generator they got pushed off of initially. Looks like they actually end up finding Tap after all. They're gonna be in pursuit. Nia is no longer broken. It can be healed finally. I think this survivor has been hooked already, so they represent a 2nd stage. Vaulting back into the killer, that is going to be another stage, which means that they now have 2 survivors that will be Death Hook after this. And it looks like Adam might have rotated back around to the one that Tab got chased off him. Which I imagine, I don't know, Skull Merchant actually might be going, yeah, it looks like they're going straight back here. They know what the mission is here. Looking around, seeing no one. Looks like resets are coming in onto Tari and Nia. And Adam will be interrupted and pushed off of the gen. Looks like they might have even come around the side. No, they weren't going to come back towards it through the hallway, instead just running around main. However, that means with that reset done, they actually get a tag onto... Oh my goodness, that is a nasty drone position. They actually got the tag onto Adam there. I can't believe that drone did that. I'm going to make a watch it. That was actually kind of stellar. And going for the Bloodlust. Again, this is these 2 pallets connected are pretty strong. They give you just enough distance. But if they are going for the Bloodlust here, they should be able to catch it. But they actually lose their Bloodlust with that. Don't know if that was the play. You just lost your Bloodlust. But they will end up being able to get the down regardless in the end, and that will be this loop being torn apart. Survivors are cranking away. We see that Tari's gen is actually really close to firing. Looks like they rotated back to that gen that they keep pestering, and the other 2 survivors are going to be doubling up in the meantime. So this is again another fresh, not fresh stage, another 2nd stage on the survivor. They got 3 survivors Death Hook and 1 they haven't hooked yet, and we've got 2 survivors banging away on a gen at the moment. They need to get some more fresh stages at the very least. If they go and 8 hook everybody, that is enough. It looks like they actually find Tari, who is Death Hook, so if they can get this server out of the game quickly, they might be able to hold on and find Nia in the end game and get a victory here. But this looks like it is actually the Lucky Break survivor, which Adam... Oh, I was about to say that almost was a lucky break, but they did end up getting found after all. Unhook coming in, which means only 1 survivor can be working on the gen, but it's over halfway at this point, most likely. Going down under the pallet, we see that it is 75% And it looks like they're sending a survivor in to harass the killer potentially and just keep them off the back, because they do want to get Nia out of this game. They will get this hook. That is death hook. They're going to be going right back. Is this the right gen, though? I don't think it is, and this last gen will pop. Now Nia needs to be the one found. And actually, in crazy fashion, usually you would do this. Usually you would send a survivor to finish the gen, and then your survivor that you're wanting to keep alive would be on the exit gate immediately. But in this situation, it's not that case. And in this situation, they actually find Adam, who is injured, so they can go down. Gonna leave him slug because you need to hook them and one other person here. And I think if they split the exit gates, we see Nia actually up top. That exit gate's not being worked on. Okay, that means if they have a chance, they might be able to go back over here and remove the survivor from the game. We don't see, oh, but actually they do find the survivor. Tap was here, which means if they get both of these survivors, if they're able to get both of these survivors out of the game, they could still win, just be on stages alone, not the tie condition, or not the threshold condition. They're trying to get, I'm about to say, I think their attempt to, they actually do get it, but they miss it. They get the speed boost instead. Hit 10 coming in, but they go around the side and they actually get it. So even though they don't have a fresh hit onto Nia, that can still be a pickup and a hook onto the survivor, but that means that she needs to go back into the map, get the pickup onto Adam, and keep him out safe. Yeah, she has to go back into the map to get the pickup here. They do get the pickup, and now the question is, okay, they managed to avoid getting tagged. Oh, this is so intense. Right now, folks, it's 8 stages, the tie condition, but they have the fresh advantage. We don't actually know where the killer is. They're holding on to this exit gate, but you also have to be careful, because if they run back to the other side, yeah, Nia's working on the other exit gate, and Adam is in the wing. Where is the killer? There they are. Nia's gonna get pushed out of the match. And now it's up to Adam. I think Adam gets out there on the opposite exit gate. And the hatch is behind him too. They actually do escape. Yggdrasil. Oh my word. By a simple stage of being fresh, they got Nia out without being hooked. And that will be enough to secure victory for Yggdrasil in the last trial, which means Yggdrasil held this match to a tie in the end.